Hello, 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 everybody, and good afternoon. Welcome to our Career Lounge Live. We are so happy to have you here. We're going to give it a few minutes for everybody to start joining in. Just want to make sure you all are able to get in. Say welcome, welcome. And then we will get started. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elizabeth with Love Our Youth, and we are here today for Career Lounge Live. Yay. So we're here for another session just to kind of give you a background about what we're doing here today. We start off by welcoming you to our Career Lounge Live, which helps you be a greater you. This lounge is designed to help middle and high school students prepare for life after high school. Failing to plan is planning to fail, and we definitely do not want anyone to fail at this. So today's topic is titled, Consider the Amazing Possibilities, right? And so we're going to talk about some great possibilities for you for after that high school years. So kind of help you plan forward what you're looking at doing. So at this time, we encourage you to go ahead and invite a friend. If you are already a part of our community, we would love for you to tag a friend to bring them in so they can hear this amazing conversation that we're all going to have today on the amazing possibilities of moving forward after high school. While we are waiting for everyone to join, we'd like to give a special thanks to Career Lounge Live sponsor, EXL, a leading data, analytics, and digital operations and solutions company. To learn more about EXL, we ask that you visit www.exlservice.com. Thanks to their sponsorship, we are able to bring this lounge to you at no cost, which is absolutely amazing. So thank you so much to them. And thank you again to all of you who are joining us today for our presentation. Again, we're just going to ask that you invite a friend to the group. If you're watching the replay, please type #replay and any questions that you have on today's topic, and we will definitely get back to you on that. So a little bit about who Love Our Youth is. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides programs to youth throughout Central Florida. Our mission is to encourage youth to embrace their self-worth and value life's lessons in order to maximize their potential. And so today we understand that decisions can be made by applying a process, and that learning this process is critical to making all important decisions in life, including those about career choices. So today we're going to discuss a few things. We're going to discuss the difference between 2- and 4-year colleges. We're going to learn how to apply for college and also understand the requirements to become self-employed, right? So whether you're looking at going to school and finishing out your academic career or looking to jump into an employment right after high school, we have you covered. So before we kick off today's session, we would like to learn a little bit more about one of our facilitators that's joining us today. So right now, we'd like to present to you our facilitator, Videg, as he's going to come on and talk to us about his career.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone. This is Vedang Chokhani. I'm currently working as a senior consultant for EXL Service. I work primarily with the analytics division within our company, and my typical day-to-day involves developing various different analytical solutions using different programming languages such as SQL, Python, and Tableau, so that I could help businesses create greater value with the data that they may or may not have, as well as understand a little better about how customer behavior functions in the financial and banking sectors, and hopefully, preventing fraudulent and risk cases for these big banks and allow them better customer retention services. So about my career, I started off with an engineering degree back in 2014. This was an engineering degree back in India, where I'm originally from. I pursued a degree in industrial and production engineering because I was very interested in learning how things are made, and learning about all of the various different challenges that come with uh, companies manufacturing products, all the different processes involved in very specific to certain materials, like let's say plastics or metals. That was a very interesting path for me to take as a high schooler, and that's something that I followed through with. And the more I spent time in this field, I realized that data analytics and understanding how computer systems really tie in with modern supply chains today, I felt it was very relevant for me to pursue an education in the analytics field. This is what drove me to pursue a master's degree at Columbia University in New York, where I honed all of my technical, entrepreneurial, and communication skills, and worked on some real-time consulting projects with some international clients like the UN and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This gave me a lot of insight into how I could leverage data into providing solutions to big businesses, as well as giving me very close understanding of what kind of data problems and what kind of major problems data can solve in today's world. And I feel that EXL as a company has been a very good and strong platform for me to pursue this, because with purely with the variety of clients that we serve and the variety of problems that we're solving on a day-to-day basis, it really allows me to hone all of my skills in various different dimensions every day.
That is so awesome. I love what you said about being able to take all of your skills that you learned and have it work in this space that you're in today. And I think that's so important for us to always remember, as you're going through life and going through your journey, you're going to pick up a lot of different skills, whether you learn them academically or in life in general. But there's always going to be a place where you can take those skills that you learned throughout your journey and utilize them. So to that, I want to start off by saying, when you're thinking about the amazing possibilities for after high school and things that you can get into, think about what you've already learned and how you can use some of those skills that you already have to take you into the next part of your journey. So thank you so much for that great introduction. We are going to go ahead and share our screen so that we can jump right into today's session. We have a lot of information for everyone today, and I'm super excited for this session today because it's really something that for me is near and dear. And I go through this and I see how my life reflects in it. So as we kind of jump into it, again, if you're joining us, we love for you to go ahead and bring a friend, invite a friend in to watch today's presentation. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and drop them in the comment field so that we can answer those for you and you can walk away with some information on how to consider some of the amazing possibilities for yourself. So today's objectives for our lesson is going to be to learn the difference between 2- and 4-year colleges, how to apply for those colleges, as well as understanding the requirements to become self-employed. So with that, we're going to start off talking about 2-year colleges. And there's 2 types of 2-year colleges that you can embark on, right? So the first one is a trade and or technical school, and the second one is a community college. Now, both of these types of schools provide you the opportunity to earn certificates and diplomas and even an associate's degree. And if you're thinking about going further, it also becomes the first 2 years of a 4-year degree, right? And when we think about college, it's a little bit different than our K through 12, right? So K through 12 is structured so that in a certain time frame, you will be done with school. But when you go into college, it's a little more flexible. So sometimes that 2-year degree can turn into 4 years, right? It may take you 4 years to complete that degree. And maybe just because you decided to only take 2 classes a semester instead of a full class, full 4 to 5 classes, right? So it just depends on your flexibility, what you have going on in your life. But understand that, when you get to college, you can take a little bit of time to kind of finish up what you're doing. And so that's kind of like that 2-year side. When we think about to break down those 2 years, we think about trade and technical schools first, right? So this is where we're going to start out. And so trade and technical schools are different, but sometimes they're used interchangeably. And so to break it down, a trade school is a school that's a little bit more hands-on, right? So this is where you may learn a field of study that you're actually going to school each day, but you're kind of, it feels like you're working in that field already because you're getting hands-on experience, right? So this can be in the space of, like, say, military, or for licensed practical nurses, a welder, a technician. These are spaces where you're going to go to your class and you're going to actually, like, your teaching is going to be hands-on, right? So if you're a welder, you're going to be in the space where welding takes place, and you're going to be able to see the tools and use the tools and work through that. Whereas with a technical school, you're looking at more of a classroom setting, right? A more classroom lecture pace, with some stimulated job training that you may have to do off-site, so whereas a trade school, you're pretty much doing it on-site, but with a tech school, you're looking at a little bit more off-site. And this is in a space where you can be like a software developer, emergency medical technician, some paramedics. Like, these are all the tech type, these are all the positions that a tech school would offer you. So if you're looking at, what's the difference, if I want to go to a trade school or tech school, think about what you want to do past that point, right? And so if it's a situation where a trade school is better, so you can get hands-on knowledge, hands-on experience, then you want to do that. If it's more going into like software development, maybe into the world of tech, computers, etc., then a tech school would be better for that one. And then taking a look at community college, and once I finish this, we'll go back and wrap it all up. There's definitely some key points to community college that we definitely want to bring out. So first and foremost, community college provides the first 2 years of a 4-year degree, right? So you can go to a community college for 2 years and get an associate's degree. And often that will then, or students will then take that degree and transfer to a 4-year institution to complete a bachelor's degree, right? So they finish their 2-year degree at a community college, and then they embark on going to a 4-year institution. But it doesn't necessarily have to take them 4 years to finish, because they've only got 2 more years of college left. So they can do those last 2 years at a 4-year institution. It also offers career-specific training for professionals or general studies. So sometimes the career that you may want to go into may not require a 4-year degree. It may only require a 2-year degree, which you can obtain at a community college in order to be employed within a particular profession. So once you kind of know what you want to do after college, this is something you can look at. Will the profession that I'm going into, will it need a 4-year college degree, or is a 2-year enough? Okay. And so that's kind of the space between trade schools, tech schools, and community colleges. And I know just for myself, looking at this community college timeline, this is how I did it. I myself, when I was going to college, started off at a 2-year college, and I went to a community college in my area, and I was able to obtain my associates. Now, most people think you go to a 2-year college when you're not sure what you want to do, but actually it worked out to be to my benefit, because community colleges generally cost less than 4-year colleges. So you're able to get the same schooling, or the same academics, the same academic information for less money. Community colleges are smaller than 4-year institutions. So you get an opportunity to kind of take that transition from high school into college life a little bit easier, because now you're not walking into a lecture hall of 400 students. You may walk into a classroom with 35 other students, and that sometimes is a little bit more manageable. So think about, what your needs are when it's time to go into that college space, and how that works for you. And I'm going to ask our amazing facilitator today, if you'll come on, Vidag, and tell us about your experience with college.
Sure. Thanks, Elizabeth. So I think one of the other things that is worth mentioning is, so though I personally never went to community college, I do have a lot of batchmates and colleagues of mine who did. And one thing that's, I think, quite popular in the US, at least, is a lot of these community colleges have affiliations with larger universities, that they send students to, or which would have a lesser of a rejection rate when you're applying. So I think, having done a substantial amount of research is always a good thing when you're considering a community college, because that way, that way you can shortlist your community college based on the ultimate 4-year program that you'd want to go into, and look at all of the affiliate community colleges that do feed into there.
Yes,
With
abs-
respect,
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. So I think with respect to my college experience, I'd say the one biggest skill that I did develop going to college. So I had gone for a 4-year college back in India, because that's the standard engineering program duration out there. But I'd say like the one biggest skill that I did learn is to make decisions better, and to have a lot more clarity on planning what my career's next steps would be, because of like the highly flexible system of choosing subjects, choosing class timings, choosing majors and minors. This involves a lot of planning, and it still involves a lot of research, whether it be speaking to past students who've taken that program, or be it reviewing the necessary course documentation in the syllabus. I think that's something that's also like a very self improvement sort of journey that you take while you're in college, uh, and ultimately I think it makes you understand the very specifics of the kind of person you want to be, the kind of career and profession you want to be in. The I think the other great thing about college for me is I was really able to develop a close knit group of well wishers and friends around me. I think at the end of the day, a person is the sum total of the closest 5 or 6 people that they interact with on a daily basis. And having had a lot of friends in college who were very focused in their careers, very driven with the kind of work that they did, the kind of internships that they'd pursue, or the works like the volunteering they do in their summers, I think that really instilled this sense of responsibility within me. I'd say not all of college necessarily does like needs to be boring. I think if you surround yourself with the right people who have like a like-mindedness to your interests, I think it only grows forward from there. I One of the other activities I really honed my skills in during college was debating and Model UN. At the college level, we were able to compete on uh, intervarsity tournament levels for Model UN and parliamentary debating. It would allow me to again dive into current affairs, dive into history, dive into various topics that were not necessarily taught in an engineering school, make me a better speaker at the end of the day, and obviously make me a more informed citizen of the world. So I think, yeah, I think as a whole, I think my college experience was fantastic. I really thank all of the friends that enriched my life and continue to enrich my life till date. And I definitely like the education is one of the main reasons, but I think apart from the education, there's a lot of other reasons that I would have no problem going back to that phase of my life and reliving it all over again.
Yes, and I like that you said that. Like the education part of college is so important, but there are so many other aspects of life that you're going to learn when you're in the college setting. You talked about making decisions, and it may not seem like a lot to you all, but just picking your classes and what time of day and choosing the teacher, all of that plays a role in your development. You're making choices every single day, decisions every single day when you're going through college. Do I get up and go to this class? Do I not? Because that's a real question. Doing the homework and learning the discipline, but also finding friends. We hear a lot of times about how people have been friends since college, and they've been friends 20, 30, 40 years, and they met in college. You're going to meet people in college that are like-minded with you, that are going to support you and help you and cheer you on. And you want to find those people when you get there. They're going to help you get through those college years. And they're going to help you increase your discipline. They're going to help you increase, your lifestyle and how you're doing doing things, and even give you different thought process to how to handle things, right? You go to a place like a four-year college, since that's what we're on right now, four-year college, and let's say you are staying at on-campus housing. So you're rooming with other students that you never met before, and you have to figure out how to navigate the space and work together with them so that you can keep the place clean, or make sure things are being done on time, make sure, it's not a mess, like little things. But that's teamwork. That's meeting people for the first time that you're about to live with. You're going to learn a lot about yourself, and you're going to learn a lot about other people. And when we think about, okay, we're going to college, again, we spoke about the academic side. So there's a lot of majors and minors in a four-year college that you can choose from. There are certificates, programs, whether that's athletic or arts. There's so much information in so many different spaces that you can be in a four-year college. And this is why it's really important to have a plan, because you can also go and kind of get lost if you're not sure what it is that you want to do when you're in college. But my advice is try a bunch of things. If you're not sure about a particular major, try it out, maybe make a change, but definitely talk with your counselors that are on the campus that can help you figure out some direction for you. Also, when you go into a four-year college, there's certain criteria and requirements that you have to meet in order to be accepted. So you want to make sure as you're planning out your journey into possibly a four-year college, that you know what the college is requiring from you so you can meet those expectations. And understanding that a four-year college is different from a two-year college, because you can get through the first 2 years of a four-year college and think, "Ooh, that was great," but you still have another 2 years to go before you actually get your degree. And so it takes anywhere from 4 years or longer to complete that degree program and walk away with the degree that you wanted to go into getting. And so just understanding the types of degrees that you can earn from a four-year college. The first one is a bachelor's degree, which is the most widely known. It's the four-year college. You can go back to school and get your master's degree, which is an extra 2 years, or you can also go for professional or doctoral degrees, which get you that title of PhD. So it just really depends on what it is that you're looking to go into, that you want to kind of sit down and make sure you're really taking a broad look at what the colleges offer and what the criteria is and how you can meet those needs in order to get to that college. And so now that we talked about two-year colleges and four-year colleges, we're going to kind of talk about what the application process looks like, right? So how do we get into a two-year college and or a four-year college? And so the first thing I'll say that is the same about both of them is that you have to complete a college application form, right? So this is like step one. After you've decided what school you want to go to, that making sure that they have what the majors or the minors, et cetera, that you're looking for. Now you have to go to that college application. And so with a two-year college as well as a four-year college, they're going to request that you have high school transcripts, and there's always going to be an application fee. So keep that in mind if you are planning to apply to several different colleges. Each college will have their own separate application fee. Okay, and for some, it can seem a little costly, but that's why it's important to do your research ahead of time so that you're choosing the best schools that fit what you want to do in order to be able to apply to, because there is an application fee attached to it. But for a two-year college, you can generally fill out the application online, and once you fill it out, you're done. And if you're accepted, then you get to do a placement test where they kind of decide where you are in your academics at that time. But for a four-year college, they're a little bit more detailed and require a little bit more in order to get into their schools. So they're going to require you to submit your ACT or your SAT scores, right? So these are tests that you're taking in high school. They're going to require that. So make sure you have that on hand. They're going to request letters of recommendation. And these letters of recommendation, you guys, if you're doing any community service when you're in high school, you can get letters of recommendation from those that offered you community service. If you did any work study programs, anything like that, if you have a teacher or a counselor that you can go and speak to get a letter of recommendation for, you want to start thinking about that while you're still in high school and going through, so that you can let the teachers know that you're going to ask them to write a letter of recommendation for you, and they can start preparing that for you. They also may require that you write an essay and or do an interview with the college. So depending on the field that you want to go into, that may require you to do a little bit more for your application. And then once all of that's done, you're done and you get to find out if you made it in or not. And the application process can be a little nerve-wracking, but I promise you it is so rewarding once you're able to get into the school that you're looking to go into. And so that's kind of the process of how to apply to the colleges. And there's local colleges that you can apply to, so you can definitely research that in your area. But if it's a four-year college, there are so many throughout the entire United States that, take your time, look through them and see which ones really fit for you.
So one of the other things that I did do while applying is, of course, there's a certain amount of time that is spent between receiving your SAT scores versus applying to actual college. So I think for me personally, I think step one was based on my SAT scores and my high school profile. I think everyone by that time, towards the end of their high school, has a clear idea of the kind of universities that they might want to pursue or that they would easily get into. So one of the things that I would strongly recommend everyone applying for college to do is not just apply to the place that they really want to get into, but also have like some safety schools and some ambitious schools that they're applying to at the same time. Let that be even like maybe one safety school or one ambitious school, because at the very least, the worst you can receive is a rejection. But the upside is crazy amazing, because you might not know, like you might not consider yourself to be good enough to get into a university, but sometimes it's really amazing that you unexpectedly get an acceptance from a very ambitious university that you've applied to, and it all works out really well from there.
Yes, that application process and finding out if you made it in, it can be a lot. But yes, you can definitely find yourself in a school that you didn't necessarily think you would be in. I know for myself, that's exactly what happened to me. I had my sights set on a particular school, but I didn't do my due diligence in researching, and that was on me. You have to, the choices that you're making definitely set the tone for what's going to happen next. And so I ended up at a different college that actually turned out to be the better fit for me, once I got there and was able to get into my classes and things. So it's really important. So, the college experience is definitely one that is a great experience to go through with getting your degrees and meeting friends and all of that. But we also know that there are some people that may think, either before going to college or even after going to college, you may entertain the idea of starting your own business and being self-employed. And that's a major decision to make, to be self-employed, because at that point you're independent, you're optimistic, possibly creative and motivated. And so you may find self-employment might be right for you. And so as you're thinking of your different options, whether you go to a 2-year, 4-year college, a trade school, if at any point during your journey you decide you want to start your own business, we are going to talk about some steps to get you started today. So I definitely want you all to take out your pen and pencil and make sure you're writing this down if this is something that you are actually thinking about. So first, we'll start off with asking yourself, what will your niche or idea be, right? So there's not too much that's new under the sun, but you can say, okay, I want to be a social media consultant, or I want to be in information technology. Maybe you like taking photos and you like to be a photographer. And now our phones are our cameras. And so oftentimes, I see people when I'm walking down the street or I'm out and about around town, and you can see people doing many photo shoots with their phones. And it's actually pretty cool that you have that type of access. So if these are things that you're thinking you might want to go into, the first thing you want to do is sit down and think about, what space do you want to be in, right? And this goes back to those personal skill sets that you may have and how you can utilize them going forward. And so if you find yourself, you really like taking photos, maybe photography is something to go into. If you find that you like DIY projects, and maybe craft making is something to go into, but really pull from what you already do or what you already like to do when you're thinking about starting your own business. So another question is kind of, what demographic are you selling to? So who is your client? In other words, right? Who are you selling products to, if that's what you choose to do? And so thinking about the difference, is it men, is it women, are they young, are they older, or is this something for everyone, right? So you have to think about who you're selling to, because that leads you into understanding your product and your service a little bit better, right? So if you understand who you're selling to, then when you ask yourself the question, why would a customer buy your product or service, it kind of helps you answer that, you know? So you're thinking about the value your product or your service will bring to that customer. So if you are looking to start a business and you want it to be on hair care, well, most people have hair, but do you want to specifically target men, women, or children? And those are different things to target. And, you know, if you're targeting children, then you are going to be speaking to parents to kind of get their kids to come in. So you have to understand, you know, why would the customer buy your product and or service? Well, they want to get their child's hair done, whether it's a haircut, a hairstyle, whatever that may be. And so they're going to come to you to solve that problem for them, which is, I don't want to do the hair. So think about, you know, when you're thinking about why your customer would buy your product or service, think about it in terms of, how do I solve a problem for them? And a problem doesn't always have to be negative or drastic. It may just be that they don't want to do something. You know, how can I make it convenient for them to get this done? You know, people go to barbers because they never learned how to cut their own hair. Cool. But there are people who know how to cut their own hair and still go to barbers. You know, there are people who, you know, we can go on YouTube and follow a bunch of makeup tutorials and learn how to do our own makeup. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to go to an actual makeup artist when we need to, because we may not feel like doing our own makeup today. So think about who you're selling to and why your customer would buy your product or service. The next question we're going to look at is, where will you offer your product or service, right? So is it going to be something that we can find online, or do you plan to have a storefront where someone can actually come into your location and either buy products and services from you? And this is really key when you're putting your business together, because if you're doing a storefront, there's a lot of costs that do go into it, as opposed to when you're doing it online. But depending on the type of business you have will also help you dictate whether or not it needs to be online or storefront. And then we're asking, how you package the product and or service, right, to make it available for those clients. Oops, sorry. So think about your marketing strategies. How, you know, how are you getting people interested in what you're selling? How are you getting them to the actual product? You know, what keywords are you saying to make them interested in it? You know, and you can just kind of sit down and take a look at all of the major companies now and how they market to us as consumers, you know, from your fast food restaurants to your high level restaurants, from your department stores to your boutiques. Everyone has a way that they are marketing to their customer. And so you want to think about, how can I market my stuff to my customer? And then last but definitely not least is the legal side of things. You know, what do you need legally to operate your business? Are there business permits that you need? Do you need to, you know, file with the IRS or other government entity to validate your business as being a legitimate business? So you want to sit down and think about, what's the legal side of that business, and make sure that you have that in place as well, before you just kind of jump out and start your own business. Because again, we want to always safeguard what you're doing. And that's kind of where the legal side steps in. And so that's just the starting off of, you know, starting your own business. I definitely want to ask, Vidag, do you have any input as far as starting your own business? I know, you know, we heard a little bit about your background, but I would love to get some of your thoughts or even some tips on, you know, the business side of things.
Sure. So I actually was raised in an entrepreneurial family. My father, my grandfather, they've both been self-employed. after pursuing their college degrees. So I think, one of the things, like, I think all of the points that you covered are pretty spot on. I think definitely understanding your customers and your demographic is usually step one, because it would give you that relevance into what problem you're solving for them. Because the problems that let's say like a younger generation would have are usually quite different from the problems of an older generation. For example, if I was to make an app, I would like, for the younger generation that would be more familiar with operating smartphones, it would be very, like, it would be okay if we make it a little more complicated. But then if we were to make an app for, let's say, like someone apps catering to a more of an elder audience, it would have to be made that easy to use, so that somebody who's like a layperson would find it easy to operate. I think one point or one thing that would require, like, that everyone requires whenever they're starting their own business, is hustle. I think that's something that makes a business from good to great, and from great to successful. As an entrepreneur, I have witnessed my father and my grandfather hustling every day of the week. A lot of times people misconstrue that if you have your own business, it's very easy for you to make the big bucks and move into that mansion very soon. But I think the journey that gets you there is filled with a lot of hard work and effort. You never really stop working. You're always hustling in some way or the other. You're managing your own company, or perhaps you're managing your partnerships that would require your 100% 24/7. And I think lastly, I think what another thing that really takes the business to a really great height is how well you're able to find the right partnerships and the substance behind your company. So one of the examples I can think of is, there's this company that came a couple of years back on Shark Tank called Bombas Socks, and their mission was to not only sell socks to consumers, but for every pair of socks they'd sell to a consumer, they'd also donate a pair to the homeless shelters in the country. So I think having a business vision that really is philanthropic in nature, or that's adding good value to the world, always attracts a potential investor or a customer, because your customer would then view the company company as, okay, wow, like, I definitely would want to be associated with their products, because they're doing such a great job of perhaps adding value in a field that I did not know much about. Or even Apple, for that matter, they're like one of the biggest tech companies in the world today, and even they have been quite responsible with the way they source their materials, being extremely carbon neutral, given that smartphone manufacturing is very labor intensive, very carbon intensive. So their mission has always been to have that earth first perspective when they go out to do their business. So yeah, I'd say hustle and having a great vision for the business, that's what would take it to the next level.
Yes, absolutely. And I like how you said a lot of people feel like when they start a business, like it's just like, boop, we're gonna go straight to having all the money. But it is a daily hustle. And so
Absolutely.
you have to have a lot of discipline when starting your own business, running and operating it, and even growing it. Partnerships are absolutely essential to having your business. And of course, like we've said before, knowing your customer. If you don't know your customer, if you don't know what they like, what they want, etc., it's going to be very hard to move your business into the level of success that you want it to be in. But I'm also glad that you brought up some other information, because that takes us right into the segue of some of the benefits and drawbacks to having your own company. And so we talked about the fact that, when you have your own business, you're hustling every day. And we're not, hustling in a sense that, you're constantly working on a business. There's really no days off. There's not so many, PTO days, as people would say, or sick days, because it's your business. And so when we look at some of the benefits, yes, you are your own boss, and that sounds great. But a lot of times I find that people are not quite sure what that means. You do get to set your own hours, but again, you have to be disciplined in those hours. It's great to say, well, I only want to work 4 hours a day, but is that enough time to bring in the amount of income that you need to live in your lifestyle? So you have to be able to manage what that looks like. And you do make a lot of decisions yourself, especially starting out. If it's just you in the business at that time, you're the one that's making all of the decisions. And so you have to really be in tune with yourself, be very self-aware, and know what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. Even down to knowing, are you a morning person or an evening person? You know, some people are okay with getting up at 4 a.m. every morning. And by the time the rest of the world is getting up at 6 o'clock, they've already done so much that, you know, they're already ahead of the game for the day. And then there are some people that prefer to work late into the evening time because maybe that's when they have their best thinking time, or that's when they're most creative. So you really have to figure out what that looks like. So while, yes, you can set your own hours, you also have to think about your customers and what hours do they keep. Is your customer going to be trying to call you at 11 o'clock at night? Most customers are trying to call during business hours, anywhere between that 8 a.m. to roughly around that 5 or 6 p.m. in the evening, and for some, maybe even 7. So you have to know, am I going to be available during these business hours? Can I get the work done during these business hours? And how many hours do I need to have in order to generate the income that I want? And so that takes us into talking about some other things like income, right? So understanding as a business owner, your income could possibly be less than if you worked at a corporate company. But also the thing to think about is it's not a regular paycheck. You know, sometimes you don't get paid till your clients pay you. And although, you know, you may want to think that you have it consistent, when you're just starting out, you're still building that infrastructure. You're still building out a lot of that. So your paychecks come when they come. And we talked about the no paid and sick vacation time, but also that idea that you are responsible for everything, you know. So starting your own business is great. And you know, there's a lot of instances where you start your own business and you do absolutely amazing, you know, and that's always the key. We just want you to be aware and know what some of those benefits and drawbacks may be. And the last part of this is what I love the best, is expect that you will have failures and setbacks, but make sure you're gaining the knowledge as you go, finding mentors and keeping all of that, you know, in order to find success. And as a business owner myself, you know, that last part is very real from a personal standpoint, your failures and your setbacks, but make sure you're learning. I think people go into this space and they have a great idea, and you automatically think that this idea is a multi-million-dollar idea, and it may be so, but do you have the resources to get it there? Do you have the discipline? Do you have, you know, all of that that goes with that multi-million-dollar idea? And so we definitely want to encourage you to sit down and plan out this space. Understand where you are in this space. And again, self-awareness is going to be key when starting your own business, and understanding, okay, how do I like to work? You know, what type of setting do I work best in? And then try to set that up and duplicate it. So I'm going to ask our facilitator, Vidad, do you have any other tips or pointers that you would like to add on to owning your own business in this space?
Sure. So I think one of the other things that I would say is very important, like I like that you mentioned self understanding and like coming to one like with who you are and your identity. I think this is definitely one of the important things when you're starting your own business, because the journey is not necessarily always smooth. And along the way, you're always going to get people who say that, okay, we don't believe in the value of this business. It doesn't seem like that profitable of an idea to me. Perhaps, you know, you should just like close this business down and start something afresh. You'd be facing a lot of criticism from everyone around you. uh, but then I think at the end of the day, what like really drives it home is your belief in yourself and your belief in the value that you're adding through the business. That of course doesn't mean that, you know, you should be nurturing an idea that's just like intrinsically bad. It just means that, you having that understanding that, okay, if a lot of people are saying something wrong or criticizing my business in a certain way, what can I take away from this to perhaps add value to it or pivot in a certain direction? So yeah, I think definitely believing in yourself is very, very important. I'd say another thing is foresight is one of the other things that you should always have when you're starting your own business, because while you're solving the problem today, you should also have that ability to foresee what problems you could potentially face tomorrow and the day after that and the month after that and so on. So a lot of times you hear very established businessmen like, let's say, like an Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos being stressed out because perhaps the market functions or views their business in a certain way. And I think that also ties into the foresight, because these companies then use that information to perhaps modify either like their product lineup, or take that customer feedback into improving their products in a certain way. So that foresight, when you're running a business, about what's going to be next, is something that you should always ask yourself. It's a question that you should be constantly answering for yourself.
Yes, foresight. That's amazing. Because you do have to do that. Otherwise, your business will stop, and you don't want to be so that put yourself out of business because you didn't have foresight. And so that's just understanding the times, understanding the trends, understanding what's coming next. And then being on top of that for your business and including it in your strategic planning. And I can go all into it, but foresight is a great thing to make sure that you have. Also, be okay with your failures and your setbacks. Be okay with sometimes people are going to tell you that, this doesn't make sense or this doesn't look viable. Again, if a lot of people are saying it, sometimes you just need to take a step back and take a look at it yourself, and maybe through different eyes or different lenses, to see why is everyone saying that this is not a good idea or that this is not going to work. But at the same time, still believe in yourself. So I think that was awesome. Thank you so much for that feedback. Great tips for any for our students that are possibly thinking about starting and owning their own business. And again, this is not something you have to do straight after high school. You can definitely do this after you've gotten gone to college, or whatever path you choose to take at that time. But if it is something you're considering, I hope that you got some great information from today's session in regards to, what that looks like, things to think about, and how to move forward in that space. And so as we round out today's session, we definitely want to end off like we always do and just let everybody know that we do these sessions because we really want you all to go off and be great. There's greatness in all of us, and sometimes we have to just dig a little deep to find it and bring it out. And so we hope that these sessions are just that for you, where you're finding spaces where you're like, that sounds like that could be me, or this sounds like this could be me, or that sounds interesting. I would love to explore that space and see if this works for me. While you're all still young, I always say, if you're not sure if you like something, try it. Try it and see if it's a space that you want to be in. And ultimately, maybe not. When I was younger, I wanted to be an attorney. So I started working in the legal field to see if I actually liked working in that field. And ultimately, I ended up not being an attorney, but having that experience definitely helped me shape my thought process or my plan as to, what I was going to do next once college was done. And so you definitely want to take all of this information in. And you definitely want to utilize it in your journey, in your path, and where you want to go in life. And we hope that we said something this evening or this afternoon that was great for you. So before we round out our sessions, I'm just going to open it up for any final remarks or any questions from anybody moving forward on today's session. Let's see, check and see if we have any questions. Okay. Awesome. Well, Vidag, I'd like to see if you have any final comments for any of our listeners today.
I'd say, definitely strongly consider researching before you get into any field. I think that's something that really gave me a good understanding of how things are today, what market trends look like, what jobs really hire well. I think researching before you get into any profession is key. Also, try to maximize the usage of the facilities provided to you by your high school and your friend circle. I think people's experiences are very valuable at the end of the day. So if I was to speak to, let's say, an alum from a specific school or somebody in an individual profession that I'm interested in, I think that really sets a lot of my decision making into perspective.
Yes, absolutely. And to that, I'll just add on to that, you've heard us say it throughout today's session, be great, believe in yourself. There's a lot of decisions that during your high school career you will make regarding what you're going to do after school. We do this because, like we said in the beginning, we want to make sure that you are planning. Because if you're not planning, if you're failing to plan, then you will fail. So if you're at least put a plan in place, it helps give you direction. It helps guide you. It helps you. It gives you time to think about more things. It's okay if you don't know what you want to do right now. And this is why we go through these sessions, but definitely take this information in. I encourage you all to explore different areas of careers and schools that you feel might work for you. And you might surprise yourself. You might surprise yourself and really enjoy something that you didn't think you would enjoy, but all because you took a chance and you tried it, you will find that you enjoy it. So with that being said, we are going to invite all of you back next week for our next Career Lounge Live. That will be November 14th at the same time, 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time. We want you to, if you're not signed up already, make sure you are signing up so that you can join us. We also want to give a special thanks to Career Lounge Live sponsor, EXL. They are a leading data analytics and digital operations and solutions company. If you'd like to learn more about EXL, please visit them at www.exlservice.com. Thanks to their sponsorship, we are able to bring this lounge to you at no cost, which we absolutely love to do every single week. We love to bring you information about how to best go about your career path after high school. And we want to thank you for joining us today to learn how to consider amazing opportunities for your future. So with that being said, we are going to sign off today, but we definitely look forward to seeing you next week at our next Career Lounge Live on November 14th at 3:15. We'll be right back here in our Facebook group, and you can join us there and even tag a friend or two. If you are watching the replay, please make sure you write #replay and drop any questions that you may have about what we discussed today. And we will definitely respond to your questions because we want to make sure that you guys have a plan for your future. So with that, we can't wait to see you all next week. Bye. Oops. Okay, the live stream has stopped. Okay, live stream is stopped. We are good for today. We ended a little bit earlier today, but we got everything that we need. So do you have any questions of me?
No, I think I really like the session. I'm so happy I could be of help, provide any feedback and insight. And yeah, I really look forward to collaborating with you guys soon once again.
Thank you.
So will you be sending out like the link for the recording? I can always forward it to some of my friends or my juniors who are like in high school who would be looking for some guidance.
Yes, so they can definitely we'll be posting it on our YouTube channel. I don't actually do the post. Once we're done, I send it to our IT person and they set everything up. But I can send you the link to our YouTube channel. If you give me just a second, I can put it in the chat box below. Let me just pull that up for you. And then you're able to see not only this session, but any of our previous sessions as well. So let me just get the link to our YouTube channel.
Great, got it.
Okay, so that should be the link. It'll take you to the EXL Virtual Career Lounge YouTube channel, and they will be able to see all of this. Actually, let me see. 7 days, 45 views. This looks like, let me make sure I gave you the right one. Let me see. Let's see. Hold on, maybe I don't have the right link.
I can always search for it on the channel. No problem at all.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I thought I had the right link already up.
That's fine.
The ones I see on there are from a little bit older. They're from the first cohort. But we can definitely get that over to you. If you ask Shabani, she can definitely get
Sure.
in touch with Lashina, who's the overseer of our program on our side, and we can make sure you get a copy of that.
Sure. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Have a great day.
You
And speak
too.
soon.
Bye-bye. Bye.